everybody. In this video I want to try to help take new players from Warhammer 40k or Warhammer Fantasy into Warmachine or Hordes. But in this one I'm just kind of focused on Warmachine. I watched a battle report, Batrap, whichever you want to call it, last night at work. And you could definitely tell they were 40k fantasy players. They did everything in the style in which Games Workshop games are. Move the units, shoot, then melee, cast spells, or whatever in between, and kind of hop back and forth between the people, and that's not how Warmachine's played. So in this I'm just going to do a quick skirmish. This is what I would do if I was going to teach somebody the game. Basically, I'd get a table, I'd bring all the units up right next to each other, pretty much within attack range. When you do a demo game, you do stupid stuff to let the other person win, as in to kind of give them that boost of, oh, I can play this game and do well. And because they're not going to know all the rules, they're not going to know all the nuances of the game, and you're going to help them. You're going to show them, hey, this is what you do at this point, and hey, if you do this, then you can do this, and you can get me, and that's how you demo. Now, I got demoed gamed, and the guy did not do that, but honestly, he at the very end he did help me out. I had very poor rolling for the majority of the game. I rolled mostly 2s and not 6s, 2s, 3s, 1s for the majority of that game, and not until he gave me the caster kill, pretty much. He kind of put his caster in a spot and then showed me how to get my caster into a spot and go for a caster kill. And then I rolled great. I blew his caster off the water on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, here is Team 1. This should be the first person to go. And Team 2, which would be the second person to go. This is Menoth. I'm sorry, this is Menoth. I'm looking at the camera, I'm seeing it differently. And this is Khador. Now I have no cards for Khador because this is my friend's army, and I'm painting them. And I didn't keep the cards for his units. They're at his house, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to take, I think it's Scortia, I believe is the miniature. Just doing a quick look. Yeah, I don't have the cards for him. So I believe she's a 6 focus caster. So I have 6 tokens here. I could be wrong, she could be 7. And Cross, I know for a fact is a 7 focus caster, as I have his card right here, and as you can see his stats. Special abilities are always on the back of the card. You always want to make sure you're very familiar with your miniature's abilities and what he has. Oh, that's weird. Seems to freeze on my screen, so I'll have to maybe do a little editing right there. So if you see a little hop, skip, that's probably why. And his weapons, and obviously their stats, because some casters are more spell casting, and some casters are actually really good beat sticks, where they got a good amount of armor and defense, and they can really get in there and start smacking the crap out of somebody. Alright. Other thing you need to know right here, what this melee weapon is. Power and strength is what the weapon's damage is. So if I'm going to hit that armor 19 person, I hit, I have 14 to their 19. That's a difference of 5. I need to roll 6 or higher to do any damage. If I roll 19 with the dice added, so take these dice here. That's 14, 15, 16, 17. That would not be enough to penetrate the armor and do damage. Put the 5 here, plus 14 is 19. that does absolutely no damage. Now, we now have 4 damage, in which we then go to the character, or if it's another Jack. Jacks have hit columns. Now, they did do this right in the thing. Oops, that's a unit. They have hitboxes here, and the person goes, okay, I did that much damage. They roll for location, that was a 1, and then they go to the number 1 and they start putting the dots down. They fill in the dots. Best thing to do is have a baseball card holder or some type of protective pouch that you can stick these cards into, and then you start marking down the 3. Once you fill up 1, you go to number 2, and you keep going down, and you keep going that way for however many damage. Now, there are certain things in the game that actually let the person pick where they want the damage to start at. Kind of sucks for you, great for them, but that's what the game's all about. Up here, you will notice this little weird symbol. That means the model is an arc node, which means your caster can cast a spell through that model out. So basically, it's like your caster standing there and casting the spell. Really cool ability to have. Crix has a lot of miniatures that have that. But the pole arm has reach. Reach is 2 inches from the edge of your base to anything to hit. And then you see the shield here. That means as long as he has that arm, he gets +2 to his armor. So basically, this model is actually an armor 19, which is really good, especially since I believe, yep, he's a light warjack. So armor 19 on a light warjack is awesome. Plus, his shield's got a really cool ability, but we'll get into that later. So that's some basics right there. So turn 1, you would want to start. Now, this is how they kind of set themselves up. They put a unit here, and then they line their jacks up. He had more jacks. I really don't know if they had an even point game or not. I think they said something at the very beginning, but I didn't hear it quite well, so I'm not 100% positive. But definitely don't screw each other on points. 1 to 2 points might not be too big of a deal. I've played games where I actually was 10 points below the other person and almost won, but it was a bitch to win. And it wasn't done on purpose. The guy didn't realize it until afterwards and conceded to get the win to me, and it was in a tournament. So, not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. The game is very balanced, so try to play even point games. 1 point usually is not a big deal. You can usually find a minion or mercenary that you can get for 1 point, throw it in there. Maybe as a support unit or something. There might be even something in your army or faction that you can pick up for 1 or 2 points. That's why I made sure I got a couple of 1 to 2 point units just for those things. But this is how they set themselves up. There was some terrain that was in between the unit and the models, but as you can see, my camera's not picking up much more, so I kind of have this all pushed here, and this is the best vantage I could get to where you could see everything that's going on. So we're just going to work with what we got here, and I'm going to apologize now. This video is probably going to run a little bit of time because I'm going to do this just like I would if I'm teaching somebody how to get into this, who wants to get into this game, how to play. So if you already know how to play, if you want to watch it and then correct me on anything I screw up, please feel free to, or otherwise you can dislike my video and leave if that's your prerogative. But this video is just to help people, and I used to be a big component of move all my guys and shoot, and I game at a game store where people are very big tournament players, so they did not let me get away with that, and that was actually a very good thing for me in retrospect. And after a couple of games, I got used to remembering that you activate one guy, he does everything that he can do, and that's it. Until the next turn, he doesn't do anything else. So usually at the very beginning of the game, I know I moved the one guy out of the camera, I like to usually put my warcaster kind of in the front line. Depending on the front caster and what he's going to do, usually sometimes him being right up front is the best thing for it. Now, I probably want the light here and the heavy here. And I probably want to move this light back a little bit from the front line because he's a fast moving unit, I believe, and these guys are slow. And this is just so I can draw a line of sight to this model here, because I didn't show the other card that my caster has, but on one side, on the other card he has, is all of his spells that are listed. Offense, yes, means it's an offensive spell. No means it's not an offensive spell. Upkeep means it costs you 1 focus to keep it going at the beginning of your phase, and I'll go into what that is here in a little bit. But like, you got Defender's Ward here. These guys are pretty buff as it is. Defender's Ward's going to add +2 to my defense and armor. And if you look at these guys' stat line, they already got 11 for defense, so you're putting them at 13 in defense, and that's pretty hard to hit. And then their armor is 16, now you're putting them at 18 in armor, and that's pretty nasty for these guys. And as you can see, their speed is 4, so there's balls to the ground, dirt slow, but they can hit pretty good at a mat 7. That's a little bit higher than average. They're POW 12 weapon masters. That's the long pole arm thing, or no, sorry, but that's the sword hilt with reach and magical weapons. And magical weapons are good against incorporeal type creatures, but we're not going to have to worry about that in this game. So let's start with mouth. Now I activate for me usually I would activate like my caster, and I got 7 focus with my caster. Or before I even activate my caster, I'm sorry, at the beginning of my turn I go, okay, I know I want to put 1 focus on this jack, 1 focus on this jack, 1 focus on that jack. Why do I put the focus on the jack? Because you can't force your jacks to, well, it's not really called, I guess it's called it's called ordering. You can't order your jack without using a focus. So if there's no focus on your jack, you can't make them do something other than walk and then their basic attack. Plus you can't boost. At first turn they'd be so far apart that I couldn't get into melee combat. So you would just put 1 here. Now, first turn is a great time to start putting upkeep spells on everything, because you're not in the heat of combat, so draining yourself down to no focus on this turn is a great time to do it, compared to later on when you might need that focus to do some damage spells to your opponent or other things that you might have in your bag of tricks. So let's say we spend 2 points, or 2 focus. I'll move this off to the side. And I get Defender's Ward. And do I have the marker up here for that real quick? No, I don't. So I'm just going to grab this thing here. So we're going to just use this as Defender Ward. I cannot have the same, I can't put Defender's Ward on this guy, and I can't put it on him. I got to pick who I'm going to put it on. Now, if I want to put on him, I'm perfectly fine, even though I can't draw a line. And drawing a line means anywhere from my base to another base. Now, I can't draw any lines because the medium-sized guy is in the way. But he's a large-based character, and I know you can't always see his arm, but he's a large-based jack, which means I can actually see over this jack to put debuff or debuff or shoot him, depending on what's going on in the game. So I can actually put that on him. That's why when I had medium to medium, if they're evenly stacked, or this guy's not back or forward a little bit more than the other, I couldn't put a line of sight, so he would have been blocked. So I staggered him out. So usually I like to use units, especially like this, as kind of like a blocking, especially since Menoth jacks are pretty slow. But luckily enough, in this game, Khador are really slow as well. They went and had their 2 units kind of just meet in the middle and beat the crap out of each other. So in that spirit, Defender's Ward on them. We'll just flip it upside down because I don't have Day of Judgment on this character, so it really doesn't matter. So he would do that. Do I have any other upkeep that I'd want? Enemy models pay double focus and cure cost for upkeeps. Well, yeah, so I'd want to cast Lamination, but I only have 2 focus. Boo! So kind of had the choice between the two things. But at turn 1, having that up isn't too big of a deal. So I'll deal with the slight inconvenience of not having that up. So I can sit on my 2 focus. Sitting on your focus will actually increase your armor on your caster. So my caster's armor is normally... What did I do with your card, sir? Is normally the armor 15. So I'm actually sitting at a 17 right now, which right now isn't a big deal, but later on can be a savior. At 7 focus on top of a armor 15, you're looking at what, armor 22, 23, something like that. I can do the math later. I've been awake for way too long. So he doesn't cast the spell. Alright, now he has the choice, because he cast the spell. He can walk his 5 inches, which is his speed, or he can charge, because I can see, there's nothing that distracts me from seeing any of these models, including the other caster. How does a charge work? Very easy. A caster does not spend focus to charge, only jacks. So he moves 5, but he gets 3 inches up for a charge. So let's say I charge. Now, in turn 1, I would not be close enough to charge any of them, and I'd know it. How a charge works is, I can still declare it, and I can still charge. This is where it kind of becomes fun in the game, because you can't pre-measure. So, I've got the little spray marker, but you can see inches. So 5 is here, and 8 is here. So even in this game, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I would charge, and we're just going to say him for right now. And I'd come up short, even with his reach. I'm pretty sure I'm short. Where's my stupid reach marker? Because that would probably be nice to have out. Should have thought my reach marker would have been here. That's all my tokens is. Haha. That's a handy dandy token right there to have. I highly suggest buying the templates, especially if it comes with these markers here. Normal attacks will automatically have, come on, focus, automatically have a ½ inch distance around the base of the character. Reach is 2 inches. Oh, now focus is when I have it sideways. Nice. And then you got cover, which doesn't really matter. Basically, you got to be within 1 inch of cover to gain the effects of cover. But here's what you do: you push the marker up against, and then you can move it around. And you can't really see that, but so you put it right up against this base. Whoops, I'm moving shit around, which you wouldn't want to do. But you put it right up against this base, and he's not close enough. So at this point, I had charged. I moved the full amount if I want, and I charged him. I don't have to charge directly towards the center. I can actually charge off to the sides, which is great, so you can make room for other charges from other jacks or other people in your army. So this would be then a failed charge. Soon as your charge becomes a failed charge, your turn with that person is over. He can't cast a spell, he can't pop his feet, he can't do anything. It's done. Over. Finito. But if I cast some spells there, and let's say I had the focus, let's say I have 3 focus that I didn't have to cast a spell, and I walked out, say it's full 5, and then I wanted to cast a spell, I can cast the spell right then and there, and then end my turn. If I had ability to shoot something, I could measure out, well, I could say I'm shooting him, and then measure to make sure it's in there, and then roll to hit, blah, blah, blah. But right now, we're just going to put him there, and him there, and him there. I'm going to leave the focus on all of them, the 1 focus, because this is how they did it. So, alright, so you run everything forward. Let's say he activated his turn, ran everything forward. I don't have the card, so I don't know what abilities to be able to stick up there. Alright. So, let's say after this is the start of turn 2, or yeah, let's say this is the start of turn 2, and this is the exact distance everything is from each of them. And I have all the upkeeps up. Then I have to figure out, okay, how much focus do I want to put on any given guy? Who do I want to do charges with? Who do I need to run with? Who do I need to buy an extra attack with? So on and so forth. So at this point, I believe I'm shy from charges. Why? Actually, I know I'm shy on being able to charge anybody. Yeah, because everybody's too damn slow to get a charge in. I even think the fastest guy is too slow. Oh, it's a strength, not speed. Yeah, 5, 5, 4. Yeah. So everybody's a little bit slow. So we'll move these people off a little bit more. Just for general purposes. Doesn't really matter who wins and loses. Get a little bit more of them into the camera. Alright, so let's say they're there. And I go, okay, I think this is 7 inches from his base to his base, and I know he's going to probably be a pain in the ass to take down, so I want to get a charge in. I want to buy to boost my chance to hit. I automatically get a boosted damage roll, so I'm going to probably want to buy another mace attack. Now you can only put 3 focus onto any given check. That's it. Wouldn't necessarily put focus on him because he's got a flamethrower and a mace, and his mace isn't super strong. What I really got to use any flamethrowing people for is to spray down as many models as you possibly can with the flame spray template. And you pretty much just want to get the fire on them, so you're not too worried about doing massive amount of damage with the flamers. You want to just kind of get them hit, because once they're hit with the flamer, even if you don't do enough damage to kill them, you put the continuous effect on them, and then at the beginning of their next turn, they might actually roast to death if they can't get the fire off, and you roll well on the damage. So that's how I play my flamers, and that's pretty much a pretty good way to use them, or you can use them to block after they've pumped out some spray. So I'm really not going to use my caster's spells to do any damage, so we'll put another 2 focus here, and then he'll sit on 1. Okay, so now we figure out who we want to start with first. And I do not want to charge this guy into these and then get them into melee combat, because in order for him to spray, he's got to be in range, because he's not a gunfighter or a virtuoso. So he has to kind of be out of melee combat with anybody and to spray. Now, if these guys are in melee combat, their defense is +4 for me to hit. So if their defense is, let's say 12, it's now 16. So now I have to, I'll tell you what his rat is in a second, and I'm losing cards to the floor. So his rat is 5. So I said, what, 15? So I need 10 to hit with 2d6. Now, had I put the focus here, yeah, I could boost, but that's only going to be 1 guy. And if you're talking about a unit of, I think they come in 5s for both groups, I'd have to have 5 focus, which you can do, and, you know, it'd be silliness. I'd be taken away from other stuff. So, you know, statistically, you're not gonna hit. So would it not be wise to move the infantry in first? So what I would do would be I move his speed 5. So I usually pick a feature like the little top of here, and then I move them. Now these guys would all be kind of down here, and I'd probably pick like the guy that would be right next to him over here, and then spray. So this way, because this line has to go right over the middle of their base, and I probably get him, and then maybe one more guy if I'm lucky. So what did I say? 12. So let's say, well, actually I don't think they're probably the same stat line as my infantry. Really, the ones that he was using for Kador, which is defense 11. So 5, I need 6 to hit. So like the first guy, I would hit. The little armadillo there is a 6. So that would be a hit. Next guy would be a hit. I got a 9. And then the third guy, if I actually got it, that would actually be a hit as well. Now, if I did enough damage to kill him, so be it, great. If not, let's say I have a couple points for doing enough damage to kill him. You leave your little flame marker on them, and at the beginning of their next turn, they're probably dead. If not, you can also then activate him, charge. So that's going to be 7 inches from there to there, 7 inches back here on the base. So you then, to charge, you claim, okay, this unit is charging, I'm giving the order, so if they had shield wall, you wouldn't be able to shield wall, because shield wall is an order, and you can only give one order out per turn. So you go, okay, I'm going to charge, and this guy's going to charge this guy, and if you have another guy's going to charge that guy, if you get another guy, he's going to charge, you know, multiple people can charge the same target, but you have to declare it so they know. So this way you don't charge and move another guy for a charge, and then you kill him, and then you're like, oh, well, you know, he's dead, so I would have charged that guy. No, it doesn't work that way. So let's say he charges, he comes in. How a charge works is you make it, you're within, and these guys have 2-inch reach, so I can actually stop short. As long as I move more than 3 inches, I get the benefit from the charge. And as you can see, the reach marker definitely touches bases on both. So I do not get it boosted to hit. So I'm really going to have to hope that their mat 7 is going to be enough to hit 11, which is 4. So I get 4, and I get perfect 4. So that gives me a hit. Now these guys are weapon masters, which I had explained earlier. That was the little sword hilt on the card, and they had reach. That's why I showed you the reach marker. Why do you not want to focus when I need you to? There you go. So, and everything's a POW 12. So you get 2 dice normal. You get a 3rd die for being a weapon master, and you get a 4th dice for a charge with the weapon master. So using the same stat lines for POW 12 versus an armor 16. So I need to get higher than 4 to do damage. They got 8 hitboxes. So there's my 4, 6, 7. So I would have done 7 points of damage to that miniature. He already sustained damage from my fire attack. He's probably dead. If not, well, he's still on fire. There's a chance next turn that on the start of their turn that he's probably dead. So that takes care of those 2. Same thing for the charging with these guys. I'm going to move the focus behind them for right now. Now I already know, because this guy made, or he made his charge. This is definitely, because this is my faster moving guy, that he's now definitely within charge range. So I can choose to charge this miniature or that miniature. I cannot charge this miniature because I have line of sight to him. I can draw a line from anywhere in my base to there, but he's going to get blocked, and it'll be a failed charge, and then that'll be the end of him. He's going to get rock and socked. Bad idea, especially going up against Kador. You really need to smash these things hard and take them out, or avoid them and kill the caster. One of the 2. So I'm going to declare a charge with him to him, and now at this point I could probably do any of these things different ways, but with different casters you're probably going to need to do certain things a certain way in order to get like an assassination kill especially. So for all intents and purposes I charge, and I charge a little bit off to the side. Now I'll go into the reason behind that in a second. Now he has reach, but I chose to go as close as I can, and then here's where the 0.5 is going to come in. And I touch with the 0.5. I know you probably can't see it. Okay, great. So I have no idea what the Khador stats are, but I'm pretty sure it's probably like a 10 in defense because they're big and slow. And he should be a, yeah, Mat 6. Nope, wrong person. Actually, I'm not even playing that miniature on here. But, I thought I had, oh yeah, that is the right one. So yeah, Mat 6. So 6 versus 10 is 4. And that would be just enough to hit. And I chose to, I'm sorry, before that I would have chose to use my main pole arm because that's going to do the most amount of damage. When you're charging something, you'll probably want to do the most amount of damage. If you're not going to, most people are going to initially assume that's what you're doing, but if it's not, let them know. Now, it'd be wise to do the pole arm because of the shield special ability. Well, you could actually do that too, but if you want to do the most amount of damage, it's Khador. So, my pole arm hits. And it is a pile 13. It's not a weapon master, so I'm not going to get the weapon master bonus. But I will get the extra die from the charge. You cannot boost a charge damage. I could have boosted, and actually I need to spend that focus, so I put that to the side. I could have focused my ability to the chance to hit, but I figured it was really low statistically to miss. It does happen. You can spend the focus if you're really worried about it. If it's super crucial, not going to worry about it. So I hit. I got 3 dice. We said they were 19, so it's dice minus 6. So we'll remove the 6 that I rolled, and I would have done 7 points of damage to this jacket. Location 6, and he would have filled in his bubbles. Going down, starting here at 6, so he would have put in those 3, then he would have came over here to 1 and filled in those 3. Then I have initial attacks. My second initial attack that doesn't cost me anything to do is my shield. So I rolled hit with my shield, same thing. I hit, I got 7. It's a 10 versus 19, so it's dice minus 9. I can choose, but I'm not worried about it. I do no damage to him, but my shield has a special ability. Okay, it has repel, which pushes the model directly 1 inch away from me. That's kind of where this cover can come in handy, because it is 1 inch. And directly away from me would be this way. And now he would be directly 1 inch away. Still within my reach marker. You're allowed to actually check that. But I wouldn't be able to buy an attack and hit him with the thing. Now, had Sorship been here and got hit by him when he got pushed back, then she could have had a chance of getting damage dealt to him. Now, as you can see, I kind of just pushed him away, and I actually have this Jack engaged in combat, or sorry, this Jack engaged in combat because of my reach marker. But she's a little bit too far away, so I wouldn't be able to buy an attack on her. Now I still got 2 focus sitting here, so I can actually buy 2 attacks with this pole arm. I'm going to buy 1 attack, 4 to hit. I hit. I'm going to boost that damage, because otherwise I'm not really playing with, piggly sticks here. So dice minus 6. I got 2 6s, boxcars. But I lose 1, so I did another 7 points of damage to him. And the heavy jack would have much different boxes than this, but for all intents and purposes, we're just going to use this, as this is just a quick demo for you guys here. And so he'd fill in these 2, and then those 2, so he'd lose his left arm, and then put 1 into the what is the M? Movement, and then it would come up here and start filling up. Once you lose all your L's, your arm basically becomes really gimp. It's still there, you can still use it, but you get, I believe it's only 1 dice for damage and 1 dice to hit. Movement, you can't charge or run. Arc node, you can't be used as an arc node. And cortex means focus cannot be allotted to the miniature or to the jack, and that's what all the little letters stand for here at the bottom. So once all those letters are gone, that's the downfalls to it. So done damage to him, then I do more. You know, I couldn't buy to do damage again, so there would be no more rolling, and that would pretty much be the end of what he could do. So then I would probably want to go with this jack, activate him. I already know he's with him because it was the same as this guy. I already know, but just to make sure it's 7 away. Yep, he's 7 away. Activate, charge, and charge the big guy. Spend the 1 focus. His mat is 6. Yep, his mat is 6. He has Inferno Mace and a Fist. Going to want to hit with the Inferno Mace because it is a POW 18. If you get a critical, it sets it on fire. On against the jack, it's not going to be a real issue that you're sending it on fire. So I'm not going to boost to hit because it's easy enough for me to hit him. Because his thing should be 10, just like my jack for defense because it's big and slow. That's enough to hit. It's a 5 and 2, which is 7. 7 and 6 is 7 and 6 is 13. So that would definitely be a hit. I charged and it was successful, so I get 3 dice. So it's dice minus 1. So that's 6, 10, 11 points of damage. I would do 11 points of damage to that model. My next initial attack, and when I rolled it, I didn't get a critical, so I'm not going to worry about putting the flame thing on him. So my next initial attack would be my Fist, which is a POW 14. I'm not going to boost, I hit. Not going to boost damage on that as well. And it's only 2 dice, Martin. So 14 was dice minus 5. So I did 5 points of damage. Obviously, I had roll location for both of those 2 hits that I got. Now both of my initial attacks are done. And I'm still sitting with 2 focus on this jack, which you can only barely see the arm of. I spend 1 focus to buy another Inferno Mace attack because it does the most amount of damage. So I rolled a hit, and I hit. And I'm not going to boost because I can do more damage hitting him twice because it's only dice minus 1 than I can if I hit him with a boosted attack. So that's 10 would have been 9. That's 9 points of damage to his 3. And I go and I buy the last attack with the Inferno Mace, and I would still hit because it's 6 and 4 is 10, and I'm going off of the same stat as my Heavy Jack, which is a 10. And it's dice minus 1, and that's 8 points of damage, and that would go to that jack again. Obviously, now you would switch turns. Well, actually, at this point, I'd activate my caster. I'd move them up, cast spells, blah blah blah. If I can, with the 1 focus, if that's enough to cast spells. If you had the ability to shoot, we'd shoot, so on and so forth. Now, another thing I could have done had I not done this the way I had done it. This is just going to be real quick. Is my caster has a feat, and his feat is when he pops it. It's on this card. It's on the back of your spell card. Let's see if I can get in there so we can read it. Any models currently in his control area are knocked down. What is your control area, you may ask? Alright. Your focus stat here is 7. It is double whatever your focus or fury stat is your control area. So his control area is 14 inches. So we take out our handy dandy tape measure and we figure out what 14 inches is. Put it over him. You can go put it all the way to the front of his base, and you can figure out what's within 14 inches by kind of just turning it and a thing, and that's his control area. That would be all these jacks. So unless these jacks in this unit and that caster have something that does not allow them to fall down, you would take the knockdown marker, which I have in here. Here's one knockdown. So you put knockdown for that guy. I'll just use these same damn things. And you put knockdown here and knockdown here. This is better than having to put the model down and ruin the paint job. So if these are all knocked down, and I still have to focus on these guys the same way, which was 3, and I believe I have 3 on him, the 1 on him. I didn't do the fire, obviously. Then this would be a whole different story. I could still move this guy and still spray. Now, their defense now I believe is 5 or 7. I'd have to look at the book. It's been a while since I've sprayed or shot anybody who's knocked down. But it's not an instant hit with range. And then I would spray them down and it'd be really easy to hit, and I probably would have got all of them. Now, here comes the benefit of having a knockdown thing. I could charge with these guys next. I don't have to roll to hit. All I gotta do, after I charged, which would have been worth the other dice, is just roll damage for each guy. I don't need to roll a hit. Now, if, let's say, we charge with him, and it's automatic hit, the first damage, we're getting using Inferno Mace, and let's say I roll 2 3s, which is 6, which is enough to hit. That's 16, 12, and that's a critical. But I chose not to roll. I just took the free hit. I don't get critical. I don't get fire effect. But if I roll, even though I get a free, I have the chance of getting a critical. So that's up to you. But I think they have. I think their defense is the same in melee, or it's dropped down. I'm not sure actually. I think it might be anything but. So anything but 1 needs to be rolled. So basically, you would just charge. I wouldn't even worry about getting critical because they use, like he said, he uses a Warjack, and just roll and do damage. And then do the fist, just roll the 2 dice, do the damage, buy the attack, roll to do damage, buy the attack, roll to do damage. Really good. Now another thing you can do, if these were all knocked down and he was a little bit more forward, if his base fits, which it should, just have to turn him around, he could actually walk right between these two, or let's move this stuff a little bit more forward. He could walk right through these two, and he could walk close enough to where they would have normally attacked them, but since they're knocked down, they can't attack them. Walk right up to her, get the free attack with not having to roll to do damage, and just gut her with all this focus that he had sitting on him, or charged and then unloaded on this caster. One thing they did do was they took a caster. I think they charged at the end. They took something and I think they charged it at the end, and they had this should be 7 focus, and they had 7 focus, and I think they spent the focus, and then they said, oh, I'm going to spend, they rolled to hit, and they're like, I'm going to spend all this focus, which was like 7 or 6 or whatever, and then they grabbed like all these dice for boosted damage, and you can't do that. No matter what, if it's a charge, you can't boost, and if you just walked up and you decided, okay, I'm going to roll just regular to hit, and you hit, which that would probably not have been a hit, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to spend 1 of the focus to do damage, that's it. You can't do no more unless you have a feat or some type of ability that's going to let you pick up another dice. That's it. You can't boost no more. 3 dice roll, and whatever you get is whatever you get. There's no 4th dice because you spent a second. No. You could spend to make sure you hit, and let's say they have a really high defense, and you got a really crappy mat, you could spend the focus to increase your chance to hit the 3 dice, and that would probably definitely put a hit. And then you could have spent, on the same attack, you could have spent another focus to boost damage, and then whatever the negative would have been. And that's perfectly fine to do. One other thing you might not realize is, when I find a card, is on these damage boxes. Oh, come here. Quit falling to the ground, cards. Why? on these damage cards, on their health, this is the unit here, you'll see that there's a heart at the very end. That heart actually does count as a damage that can be marked. Usually you fill them here and you go all the way through, and then once you get to that last little blob, which is the heart, you fill that in. He's a dead guy. Just to let you know. I hope this helps anybody out there who's looking to get into the game. This is just a really quick synopsis. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't discuss was if you cast a offensive spell, let's say my caster's here and his caster's there, you don't use your rat, which is your range attack, and you don't use your mat when you cast a spell, which is an offensive spell towards another person. You actually use your focus stat against their defense. So a 7 against the 14, which I need a 7 to hit. So let's say we take the 2 dice, and let's say I still have a focus sitting there after I finish casting my spell. So I would more likely probably want to buy, because on 2d6, the average roll is like 3 or 3.5 or whatever, but on 3 dice, the average roll is 7, and I think that was a 4 before I kind of flipped it on accident. So that would definitely be a hit, and then whatever the damage would be done normally. So, sorry that this video probably went a little long. I hope to have clarified any issues that anybody might have. If there's any other questions you have, or anything you need to know or stumble upon that's questionable, please feel free to send me a personal message through YouTube. You can always give me your email address, or it's actually, I suck at typing. I lose my train of thought, and I don't do a huge deal, and I don't always take the time that I should to proofread and fix through my mindfuck of a processing. So if you give me like a Skype or TeamSpeak or Ventrilo that we can use, and we can try to set up a good time to sit back and talk, and I can try to help you out to the best of my ability with the rules. Warmachine and Hordes is a huge read the words and the rules, and by doing such you can usually figure out most of the issues or problems. Keywords are huge in this game, so just keep that in mind, everybody. Well, I'm signing out. It's time for bed. I should have been in bed a long time ago. Happy wargaming, everybody.